Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new to the channel. It's been a minute, almost a month. I admit, and I've been working. I've not been I've been constantly working, pushing out reels, pushing out TikToks, and also recording videos for this. So over the month, I've managed to complete this drawing. It's part of the series that I was talking about headgear, and this is the second installment. But for this video, I'm going to cover some sketches that I did from around 2021 to 2022. I don't really have a sketchbook, but this will be kind of like a sketches tour, and I'll be giving you some tips of how to improve your art with ballpoint pen, because as I was working on this drawing, I also did a piece with pens just to freshen up my skills, and it really turned out great in my opinion, and I'll show you that in the course of the video. Starting off strong, we have the first drawing that I made with pens it's from around 2021, and at this point I hadn't drawn with pens, or rather I hadn't drawn for like 6 months straight. So to be able to achieve this was quite something, and it's a drawing of Ghost. If you've watched Power, he's the main protagonist, and it's a really interesting movie or series. If you haven't checked it out, you should. This was the cover for the movie, and I think it's really interesting. I worked on it on ivory board. At the time, I wasn't sure which papers to use for doing art using ballpoint pen, so I just picked the paper that I saw people recommending, because I was in a group and people were saying how ivory board is good, and I wanted to try it for myself. So after this, the next piece that I made was on canvas, because at the time I was still juggling between canvas, doing art on clothes, because I used to customize clothes, and now doing art on paper. I hadn't really picked the medium, so yeah. After this, we went for a break in school, so this was done around June, July, August, that period where we have the long holidays. And it's a piece of Tommy Shelby. This piece, I remember really liking it, because I hadn't been able to render hair like this. So at the time it was really interesting. What I didn't like though is the streaking. You'll see this often with ivory board, because it's a really smooth medium. Because of the smoothness, the paper really tends to streak a lot. So, but at the time I was a beginner, I didn't know better, so that's what I came up with. Then after that, I did this piece. It's a piece of, at the time it was a friend. I was like, let me draw you a piece as I practice, and needless to say, the piece didn't come out great, because the likeliness, or the piece, the person resembles the piece but the blending was not there, so you can see me really struggling to kind of even it out, and I was really disappointed in the piece, because I had raised the person's expectations, and it kind of felt like I let her down, you know. But I was still learning at the time, so I started having doubts whether the ivory board was the best medium to use. So for the next piece, I experimented with a different type of paper. Let me show you. This one. This was a piece I did immediately after failing this one. I went to bed, then the next morning I got up and this is what I decided to do. Obviously it's 50 Cent, still fascinated by the theme around power. So I found this reference image on Pinterest and it looked really nice. It had really good contrast. So I decided to do it. And I like how it came out. I incorporated a fair bit of detail into the piece, but the paper was not also the best because you can see me really struggling to blend some areas like this. I'm getting streaks. The darkest parts are not as dark as I would prefer. Then after seeing some hope in this, I did this one, $. At the time, I was mainly drawing celebrities to kind of like push my name in the algo because they have big platforms, and so they have fan base, huge fan base, and people generally enjoy good fan art. So that's why I was doing this. I remember I spent a lot of time on the locks because I wanted to mimic that look of hair texture. So I spent a lot of time, but I was still progressing my skills after taking that hiatus that I've told you about. What I didn't like about the piece was the smoke. I remember even erasing this part because I had made the smoke too dark and it didn't look like smoke. So I had to erase this part to kind of make it look more like smoke. Then after that I did this Chris Brown, obviously, and this was on embossed paper, which later became my favorite paper to use because it was readily available in this particular size, A4 size. So I had carried along some few pieces of embossed and I did this and it came out alright. It didn't take too long because the piece is fairly simple. Then after this I did Walter White. I really like this drawing up until this day because I really took my time with it and I nailed the likeliness. Is it likeliness? I'm not really sure, but I nailed the look that I was going for and it came out really nice. I wouldn't change anything on it. Then this I did Kelani. Kelani is really talented. She's a really talented singer and I'm not afraid to say that I listen to her music from time to time. And I remember the challenge on this piece was doing the crystals because I hadn't drawn anything that resembled crystals up until that point. So it was really interesting to do the piece. And the sunflower, it took a lot of time because it has those small details, and if you don't incorporate that, then the sunflower won't look like a sunflower. So you kind of have to do it. Then after that I made this one. This piece I really liked. Like I really enjoyed working on it. But the beard The beard took a long time, long time, because I really tried to make it look and feel like hair. So I remember I was scribbling around and scribbling back again to kind of like fill the spaces and also leave space so that it looks like a beard. And the challenging bit was drawing the smoke or leaving the areas of the smoke white, so that when you look at it, it gives the illusion of smoke. Then I did this piece. I'm pretty sure you've seen this piece on the internet. If you are active on maybe Instagram or TikTok from like 2021, 2020, this piece was really common, and I found it and I decided to make a drawing. I really like how it came out. At the time, I had never done a piece that was as detailed, because I really included pores and wrinkles and stuff. So I really liked how it came out. Then I did this piece. This piece I was doing to kind of like experiment with art that has a meaning, because I was feeling like the pieces that I was doing, the celebs and stuff, they weren't really communicating anything. They were just a cool picture of a celebrity. So I was trying to draw something that had meaning. This piece was also a reference from Pinterest, so it's not an original idea. Yeah. Then I did this piece also in the theme of trying to make drawings that have a meaning, and this piece I did on watercolor paper, which up to date I think it's the best paper to use for ballpoint pen art, because it's really sturdy. It's really solid, and I like how the piece came out. Fast forward, I think, to, I don't remember when I did this, but I remember there was this girl in school who was from, I want to say, Germany, and she had come to our school to kind of like an exchange program. And so I went up to her and I told her that I'm an artist and I would like to draw a picture of her, because at the time I was really consuming a lot of videos on people who did street art, and I wanted to try it out. But the way that I'm used to sketching, I hadn't really developed the skill of doing an impromptu drawing of someone on the street. So I decided it was better for me to take the time to draw her while I'm composed. So I didn't, at the time that I was doing the drawing, I didn't notice that there was something wrong with it, because if you're keen, the eyes are not well placed. But in the reference, it was tripping me up, because I used grids, and when I was looking at the grids and the reference, I was pretty sure that I had placed everything to where it was required, but the end result didn't really reflect that. But anyway, I like how I incorporated the colors. This was also my first time dealing with colored pencils. So it was a cool introductory piece. Then we go to this typical celebrity fan art. I was into making art with a black ballpoint pen, because I'm used to writing my notes with black pens, and I thought I could just extend that to my art. Although currently I think making art with a blue pen, it's more visually appealing more than the black one. This one I did of Snoop. The main focus was the shadow and the hair. The rest of the piece was fairly simple. I did Cardi B, fairly simple. The main challenge was the lips area and the grills. I don't think I nailed the grills, because if you look at them, they don't really look like they're sparkling. So, yeah. Then I made ASAP and Rihanna. The ASAP, I like the way the grills came out. It was a better attempt than this one. This looked more like grills. Then the Rihanna piece, I really like how the overall piece looks like. It looks very well rendered, and the details are just enough. This is a piece I made of what's his name? He's from Peaky Blinders. I think it's Arthur Shelby. I'm not really sure. I've forgotten the name. And this was the era that everyone was obsessed with Peaky Blinders. It was a really cool show. And so I caved into the pressure and I did a piece of Peaky Blinders. I didn't do the main character, who is Tommy. Tommy I did in vector art, but this one was, I didn't like the way I shaded it, because it's not dark enough, so it doesn't have that much contrast, and the fire could have been better. This is a piece of Summer Walker that I made. At the time I was really into her music. I still listen to her music, but not as heavily. But I think she's a dope artist, regardless. And this one is a piece I did of Mike Tyson, and I really like this piece. To this day, it's one of my favorites that I've done in ballpoint pen, because I think I really nailed the skin texture and the tattoo. I remember it took a long time because I didn't want to shade it in, so I had to use little scribbles to kind of like mimic the look of tattoo on skin. And I also included a lot of pores and stuff. And yeah, I think it came out really nice. I'm super proud of it to this day. Then this piece, it was an experimental piece of a car, and it's not really phenomenal, but it's not the worst drawing that I've made. So yeah. I remember this was a fun piece, just to kind of like play around, and I did it using the green pens. Yeah, it's just a simple silly idea. Then this is another piece that I really like. It's of Andre 3000. He's a dope rapper. He was in the group Outkast, and at the time I was really listening to his songs, so it was only fitting that I did a piece of him. I like how the piece is detailed and the hair and stuff. And this is what happens when you get good quality reference images. You can push your drawing, you can add details and make it look dynamic. Other than when you have a flat piece, a flat reference, then you can't really do anything with it, you know. This is a piece I made of Big Sean. Still like his music. I'm anticipating the release of his album, and I want to see what he has in store for us. What I don't like about the piece is the jewelry. It could have been better, and this cigar. This is a piece I made of Justin Bieber, and I remember the piece got a lot of attention on social media, even though I didn't really like it. I don't know, it lacked contrast, and that's to add to the point of having a reference image. At the time I was looking for Justin Bieber pics, and the pics that were available, they didn't have contrast. So I just picked this one and I went with it, and people seemed to like it for some reason. I don't know why, even though it was my least favorite at the time. But yeah, this is a piece I made of Janae Aiko. I still like her music, especially from like 2013 to 2018. I think she released a lot of cool music, a lot of healing music, and yeah, I had to pay tribute to Janae. If you're wondering where I got the time to make all of these drawings, when I used to carry a piece. When I started a piece, I used to carry it in my bag, and then during downtime, like let's say a lesson ends, then before the lecturer for the other lesson comes, that's the time that I used to make the drawing, do some small progress. When I get back home, I used to also do that, and the deadline that I had set for myself was a week to start a drawing, film it, record reels, record TikToks. Then on Friday I used to post everything on Friday, and it used to work for me. Anyway, this is a piece I made of Tupac, and I really like how this came out. The details, it was really detailed, and it was like unlocking another level for my art. Then I did a piece of Rihanna, even though it doesn't look like her. This piece flopped. I didn't get it doesn't really resemble her, because the angle was weird, and I think the grids, I didn't really use them well. And so in this area there's a mistake that happened, that it's a slight mistake, but it makes a huge difference, because currently it doesn't look like Rihanna. This one, I remember I had this idea of mixing, because I was getting bored of the monotony of doing monochrome pieces, and so I was trying to spice things up, and this was a drawing that I made to kind of like spice things up. And I used tape to tape this area of work on this side, then come to this. The dreads really took a long time to kind of like mimic the look of hair. and I remember I liked it, but on social media it didn't really perform as well as I had expected. But that's what happens with art. Some pieces flop, and others that you expected them to flop, they get attention. So this was one of them. This one was another piece, an attempt at me doing some composition and just trying to spice things up. You can see I have 3 different colors, and I was just trying to get over the monotony of the pieces that I was creating at the time. Fast forward to, this was December of, I think, 2022, and I did The Weekend, the After Hours album cover. I still like this drawing. I like how the details came out. What I don't like is the hair. The hair looks too stiff. It doesn't look like natural afro. It looks too stiff. So if I were to do this piece again, I would try and focus more on the hair, make it look more fluffy and less rigid, like the way it looks. This one, Thanos, and at the time I did this piece to kind of like just try out my hand at red pen. This was after doing the red on this piece, and so it kind of like inspired me to try and work on a piece that has a lot of red in it. So I did Thanos. Then this piece, I remember this piece. I liked the piece. I did it. It was a piece of my then girlfriend at the time, and I asked for her picture and I drew it. I used colored pencils and pens, and I really liked how the contrast between this area and this area, and it's still one of my favorite pieces to date, not only because of the nostalgia that it brings, but because of the composition of the piece. I really still like it. Then after this drawing, it inspired me to delve more into the world of color, and so the next piece that I made was a fully fledged colored pencil piece, this one. And looking at it now, it has a lot of mistakes, a lot of the value, like the colors are not right. If you look at him, he looks sick. The skin is too yellow, like everything is a mess. But at the time, considering that it was my first go using colors, I tried with the piece. I made this piece now on ivory board because I found that even though the pen slips too much on this paper, the colors seem to handle fairly well. So I did this piece. I remember it was really interesting for me because I had never explored the world of colored pencil like that. That's the time that I discovered CJ Henry, and I remember I was really inspired by her work, and I was like, I want to try my hand at colored pencils. Plus, I had been dealing with the monotony of doing monochrome pieces using ballpoint pens. So this was a really interesting experience, and it encouraged me to keep on going with colors. So I did this piece of a matchbox. I'm not really proud of the piece, but it's not the worst also. Then I did this. I remember it got a lot of attention, and at the time reels were really picking up, so this piece got a lot of attention, and I spent a lot of time making the details in this ice cream thing. Yeah. Then I made this one, a piece of coconut. Then I changed the coconut milk into blue. And I remember all of these pieces, I was doing them over a span of a week. And now looking back, it's really crazy because this surface is really small. Like currently with my skill level, I can do a piece like this in one day, you know. So it's really interesting to see how far I've come. Then I did this to kind of like make some piece that has visual interest. Then I made this. I was kind of thinking about trying my hand at character design. So I designed a character, pencil character. These are glasses and the rubbers at the ears, and it was just a playful idea. Then came my series of spelling my name using drawings, and I spelled my name. I spelled my name, you know, and I think it's a really interesting concept. And it was really interesting for me to see that you could get an image that looks convincingly inflatable by leaving white spaces. That was really interesting for me because, again, I was not used to making art with colored pencils. So from these pieces, that's where I gained a lot of courage to step fully into the world of colored pencils, and I made the pieces that I've been known for. To the end of the video, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that flip through of my sketches, and stay tuned for the piece that I've just completed. I've tried to document it using different angles and stuff, and I think the video will be quite insightful because I was working on leather, which was a new material to me. But anyway, thank you for watching, and like if you enjoyed the video. I'll see you on the next one.